Welcome everyone from around the world to the joint webinar with BioAlliance and Outbound Pharma. Our webinar is titled, How to Maximize BD Pipelines in Life Sciences. This involves newsletters, webinars, and targeted B2B strategies. I'm Jim Serene.
And I'm Claudio Rota from Outbound Pharma.
And we want to thank you for attending.
Thank you for joining.
A little bit about each of us. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. I founded BioAlliance in 2011. It is life science focused. We work on behalf of marketing, BD, M&A, and some licensing strategies. Our target clients are CROs, biotech, and pharma. We do believe that we offer very cost-effective and efficient strategies and programs for our clients.
And I'm Claudio Rota. I'm the founder and managing director at Outbound Pharma. Outbound Pharma is a business development consultancy. It's been around since 2017. We are 100% life sciences focused. And our strength is in doing primarily activities like lead generation and new business development for our clients, which in most cases, I would say in 80% of cases, are service providers and vendors of all sorts. One of the things that we have been able to witness over the years has been a dramatic change in the way that outreach is being performed. Many years ago, there used to be obviously manual emails going out, and cold calling was one of the primary channels for outreach. Things have changed a few years ago where we had the opportunity or the means to actually do email blasts as well as automated emails. But in the last 5 to 8 years, when LinkedIn started to take over a little more after the IPO, you have more presence on this social media platform. It became increasingly important to the extent that many people actually decided to stop doing emails. So that multi-channel approach, emails, manual emails, automated emails, and LinkedIn, and to some extent also cold calling is still happening. But in the life sciences, in my opinion, there are more channels that are being underutilized. And this is really the topic of today's discussion, and how to actually leverage on these channels to make your outreach much more effective. So the reason why we are involved in omnichannel is because we want greater customer expectations and more effective engagement.
Thank you, Claudio. Very good synopsis of how this model works. A little bit about the BioAlliance side of this. And again, the way that this model will work is coordination between these two entities that fit seamlessly to support your outreach efforts. And what BioAlliance has done is created something we call fractionalized BD. And it's just designed to increase your BD-ROI. And some of the metrics that our clients have seen over the last 13, 14 years, we've got 40,000 plus life science contacts. Our delivery rate, success delivery rate for emails, newsletters is 95%. Our clients have the benefit of having over 4,000 people a month see their newsletters. And we've had over 200 successful webinar sessions. Some of the clients that we're engaged with, obviously you can recognize some of these names. They're small, mid-sized, and large companies. We're very proud to be able to have served them. And the way that the model works, here's our process. Everything we're doing is to feed your B2B pipeline effort. And we are the front end of this to feed what Outbound will ultimately do for you. We start with a calendar that ties industry events to your activities. Okay, by building your marketing calendar, and believe it or not, many companies don't build a calendar that we actually work with. It's quite surprising. But we'll tie them to industry events, conferences such as ASCO, Bio, DIA, and we're promoting them 6 to 8 weeks prior. Even if you're not attending, the goal would be to get you an audience with them if you're there. But if you're not, you're still speaking to an audience whose ears are up about the industry. For instance, for ASCO, about oncology, and any oncology experience you have, we're tying it to that timeline in the market where more companies would be likely to see it and read your information. Again, everything is planned out for you. How we do this is we'll reach out initially with newsletters. And what we're promoting is your people, your capabilities, and services. I always say it's people, process, and technology that matters. So by pushing out these newsletters to the 40,000 contacts we have, we're using images and links to draw the readers to your website or your social media channels that involve your case studies, white papers. Everything is to demonstrate your success. If there's any type of a rescue study, anything like that, we're showing how your people, process, and technology can benefit your clients. Webinars. Everyone knows how popular webinars have become. And again, thank you for attending ours. But what are the real benefits of a webinar, and what are the hidden benefits of a webinar? Obviously, you can get a global audience. It does increase your brand awareness. They're extremely cost effective when you can have hundreds of people attending a webinar. And I will show you examples of just that with some of our clients. Also, it increases your database pipeline, okay? Because you're getting people to attend who aren't necessarily in your database, and you're building your database for that. The webinars can be recorded or they can be live. And the key is these videos can be repurposed for targeted individuals after the event for the next 12 months. That's the hidden value of a webinar. And I'll show you a little bit in that a little bit later. But what BioAlliance has done is we built the BioAlliance video network. It's for recorded and live webinars and podcasts. Again, we're reaching out to the databases that we have, both within sponsors and CROs. We're promoting your capabilities, case studies, white papers, and most importantly, we're reporting all of the activity for the webinars. Who's attending, who isn't, the polling questions that we have during the webinar, the Q&A. It's all information in this model that would be forwarded to Outbound Pharma for follow-up activity. Everything that we do is branded for the client. So when people are registering for your webinar, they're seeing your logos. BioAlliance is invisible as far as webinars are concerned. So it looks as though you've made the investment for your platform and it's branded for you. So what do we do with this content that we establish? All of these webinars and corporate videos. Well, posting them to your corporate channel, your website, social media. And again, we will use newsletters and to pull these readers to download this video. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to capture this contact information and how it feeds your pipeline. This is a real world example of a client who had 209 people register for their event. But over the next 12 months, between their two webinars, they had 1,885 and 1,349 people click to download their video. That's the hidden value of webinars. A lot of people can't attend the day of the actual event, but they want the information. So pushing out newsletters and doing outreach like that, pulling readers to your links to download is invaluable information for targeted clients. Which leads us to the reporting. How do we get information to you? Basically, for newsletters, we look at anyone who's opened and clicked on specific links. So your BD team has a good idea of what they're looking at already. If someone's looking at a case study about oncology, a BD person following up already has that intel. And more importantly, they're not hunting blindly. They're getting lists literally of thousands of names who have opened information and looked and clicked on certain links. So this supplements your existing database. And this is a year's worth of data, and I wanted to highlight a couple things. With this client, we pushed out 1.29 million newsletter emails. We had close to 100,000 people opening them. And if you look down at the very bottom highlighted in red, there are 7 events there that are webinars. And you can see the number of people that have clicked on and went to the registration page, totaling 39,851 people. And we had 3,756 people attending. That's like having 3,756 presentations to individuals within a year's timeline. So it's tremendous value for webinars and newsletters is what we're able to provide. This is a real world example of a newsletter that went out for a large client, and these numbers are legitimate and they're unbelievable. We had 16,000 people open within the 2 distributions that we have. We had a 95% delivery rate, and we had 116,000 people click on links within that. They received all of this information via Excel. We're able to download the information, provide it to the clients, show them who opened and who clicked on what links. Again, feeding your BD team. In this case, it would be Outbound Pharma. But first, we'd like to request our audience to respond to a quick poll so we can better learn what your current strategies are for your marketing. And now this is where the handoff would come in. Once this report comes, it would be turned over to the BD team, and in this case, Outbound Pharma, and I will, in that case, hand it over to Claudio.
Jim, thank you very much for the introduction. These statistics are really, really remarkable. This is why I'm so excited about working together and about this collaboration that we've been having for quite some time now. The handoff will really be designed to pursue these opportunities even further through targeted emails, targeted outreach in general, even through social media, with the goal of securing quality appointments. Call calling is a part of what we do, even though it's not the predominant thing. Most of the cases, most of the times, we do reach out to very senior level people, and so therefore is not the most appropriate route, at least in the beginning of the conversation. One of the things about emails that it's lately, it has been incredibly difficult to get to the inbox. These are statistics that are coming from multiple sources, one of them being Apollo.io. Not the only one, but the open rates range anywhere between 5 and 6% in the industry. So it's really, really grim. So the goal is for us to really improve these statistics, even though open rates is really not the ultimate goal. It's certainly an important part of it. We actually did a survey specifically on lead generation in our industry. We did this last year with contract research organizations globally. And one of the things that we discovered, unsurprisingly, is that companies have multiple challenges when it comes to generating leads. It's not one single reason. Many companies struggle with lacking the time. The grand majority, perhaps, the difficulty is the prospecting, is how much time and resources it requires, incomplete data, making the initial contact, setting up the appointment, and so forth. So there's multiple reasons why it's a very time-consuming effort. And on top of that, most companies don't even have a dedicated person doing outreach. In many cases, this is split between sales and marketing, in some cases, business development. And these are not individuals that spend 100% of their time actually doing new business development. So there is definitely a need for specialized expertise in this area. One very important channel for us are conferences and events. These are some of the conferences that we were physically present last year. This is for a particular client of ours, which was a CDMO. And we can reach to their preferred targets either in person or virtually. The point is for us to be their partner for increasing their visibility and appointments. When emails are done properly, we do think that there can be a very effective channel, in spite of what many people say in the industry or in other industry as well. Emails are still very effective. And these are some of the open rates, for example, that we have seen in recent campaigns. It could range anywhere between 50 to 100%. And part of the reason is not just the content, but it's also the fact that we are targeting the right people and at the right time, for example, in the case of conferences and events. So the key takeaway, I would say, is that from over 20 years in the industry, what I would say is that the top companies, the top 100% companies, actively invest in lead generation, which requires very specific skill sets. And they do invest both in terms of resources as well as or outsourcing if they choose to do so. It is absolutely fundamental in our industry to do your research before you do any outreach. The spray and pray approach does not work. It's severely ineffective these days, certainly in 2025. So we take a very personalized approach, applying the 20-80 rule. So in other words, only 20% of our campaigns are actually automated. In 80% of cases, they're all manually written, manually validated, and executed. The approach overall is omni-channel, and we call this omni-channel as opposed to just, let's say, multi-channel, because it feeds, one channel feeds the other. So based on everything that Jim has said a few minutes ago, we can collect all this information and actually use that to our advantage to secure more leads. Jim, on to you.
This is now time for our second and final poll. This will allow us to better understand our audience's specific challenges and needs for B2B. Thank you, Claudio, for that very informative presentation. This is the time for questions and answers. We do have many questions in the queue. We will address as many as we can. Again, we've allotted about 30 minutes for this presentation. So let's start with the first question. It's from a mid-sized CDMO. So Claudio, if you wouldn't mind responding to this question. How do you strike the right balance between automation and a personal touch in outreach?
Oh, yes, this is definitely a very, very relevant question. As you know, we have worked with a lot of CDMOs over the years of all different sizes. And more so these days, this year and last year, there's never been a more important topic than how much automation do you need to have. And I've talked about it a few moments ago already. We have a process whereby almost everything is manually driven. So we keep automations at a minimum. And so usually there are follow-up emails, for example. Everything else is done absolutely 100% manually. It's obviously more time consuming, but it's also more effective for us and for our clients. So this is really nothing new. It's not rocket science. It's really about doing your homework. There's been a lot of discussions lately about how to write effective emails and the importance of copywriting. And yes, subject lines are important, and all these other tricks that they teach you, which is absolutely important, but not as important as your ability to send a thoughtful email with a human touch. This is our approach. It's worked for us. Most definitely, there are things that you should avoid doing, but for the most part, it's about understanding the art and the science of psychology of sales. In essence, that's what we do. So it's mostly a personal touch and not much of automation at all. Hopefully this clarifies and answer to your question.
Thank you very much. We've got another question here. It looks like it's from a small CRO. So if you don't mind, I'll take this one. The question is, how does this marketing BD model work over a short and longer period of time? For example, 3, 6, 12 months down the road. This is a multifaceted response, I would imagine. Believe it or not, a lot of companies just unleash their sales team to go sell something, and there's really no planning or strategy. What this model does is it really works in alignment with what's happening in the market. So if there's conferences coming up and we're talking about, say again for ASCO, oncology, we're going to talk about your oncology experience 6-8 weeks in advance, highlighting your key thought leaders, your execution team, your operation team, profiling them, making them front and center, so that we can work essentially by quarters, mapping this out. And it's basically planning what you're going to be talking about, tying it to industry events so that there is a greater level of interest within the market for what we are presenting. And planning this allows for ample time to reach your audience. Okay. It also can have a bit of serendipity where if we've got a webinar coming up and someone doesn't want to wait until a webinar, I've actually had a scenario where someone wanted to talk immediately because there was kind of an urgent need and didn't want to wait the extra month to get to the webinar. That's a good thing. Who cares if they don't show up at the webinar if you're already in discussion with them? Okay. That's really what this is all about anyway. And thirdly, this also will build a content library for you, having these types of tools, which are videos, newsletters, where people can go back to and hopefully be able to at least identify when they qualify people and companies as vendors. That's really what part of the targets are for this model. I hope that was an efficient answer for you. We've got other questions here, and this looks like it's from a SaaS provider. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Claudio. The question is, what types of companies benefit most from your proposed strategy?
Yes, for sure. Obviously, we worked also with IT companies selling into the biopharma space. And I guess one could argue that any company selling products or services in this area would benefit from this type of targeted approach. But having worked with hundreds of different vendors and service providers across the globe, right, over the years, even companies that have more than 1,000 employees, I think the pattern is that I've seen is that the companies that benefit the most are the ones that, well, one, they don't want to hire, onboard, or train more SDRs. Secondarily, these are the companies that may have more competition and or a weak value proposition. So what we bring to the table together is actually experience helping these companies refine their unique value proposition. And we have the experience to help them stand out and highlight their true value. So this means we can target the right companies for them, uncover opportunities, and also monitor what's going on in the industry, in their specific industry. We have turned down offers from companies where maybe a little bit arrogant into thinking that all they can do is to win more business is to put their contact information out there to every pharmaceutical company, and that's going to work. It doesn't. In 2025, if you do this type of personalization at scale without any rationale behind it, it doesn't work. You need to know your value prop, whether you are selling regulatory SaaS product or digital transformation services, for example. Also, one final comment is companies that benefit the most are the one who understand that business development doesn't happen overnight. They understand that securing quality meetings, um, it takes a very long time. It's a tedious process, and which is why it's challenging. If you're only interested in quick sales, then this framework is not going to work. And it doesn't work for us, unfortunately, because we are in a relationship business and not in a transactional one. So hopefully this clarifies a bit. Sorry for the long explanation.
No. Thank you for speaking about the elephant in the room as far as managing client expectations with what it takes. There's time for about one more question, and it looks like this, based on the name, is a mid-sized CRO. And the question is, here we go. We're a mid-sized CRO. We don't have a large sales BD team. So how can this marketing strategy improve our team's performance? There's a couple ways that this can do this. And this actually happened with a client where I had a client that had 22 salespeople. They engaged this model, and they reduced their sales team by 3 because we were able to do what I call getting more shots on goal, because we're pushing out 40,000+ email newsletters to the world. And this allowed their team to have larger territory, which means obviously it's going to help their salespeople sell, which reduces turnover, which reduces cost of training, and everybody's happy. It also enables you to have a consistent message across the BD team. I've been in CROs where I've been on meetings with a couple other BD people, and things were said that I was like, why would you ever say that in a meeting, promise something like that? We don't know if we can deliver. Well, by presenting and presenting information through this model, both with newsletters and your experts speaking on webinars, the message is out and it's clear and it's given by the authority. So this is another thing that it helps. The other thing is it can really help identify key people where your sales team isn't necessarily hunting, or if companies don't want you to talk to them. And there's a scenario where, say, for instance, like GSK, they have their vendor list locked up for 18 months and they tell you, call me in 15 months. How do you communicate with that vendor manager or that individual who's managing the sales process? You do this through this model. So at least they're getting information, and you can do follow-up emails in a very benign way to say, thanks for reading our recent newsletter with a link to the newsletter. I'll contact you in 15 months as you requested. And it's just a soft touch. So it's a tremendous tool to tell your story over a long period of time. And with that, I've got to say that we must conclude this webinar. We thank everybody for joining today. And Claudio, do you have any final comments?
No, this has been really short but sweet. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do more of these. Thank you, Jim, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. And as a reminder, this recording will be available on both of our websites. So we do encourage you to take a look at it and download the video should you have any questions. And also, there will be these QR codes and email links to be able to communicate with us as well. Thanks very much, and until next time.
Thank you.